The first update we have today is the brief on Jeff Lewis calling out the Real Housewives of Orange County cast for their outfits during that Amsterdam trip. So, there's been buzz around season 19 of RHOC and their trip to Amsterdam, right? Well, it really kicked off when Jeff Lewis started questioning the cast's fashion choices. He was actually interviewing Shannon Beador at the time. On his SiriusXM show, Jeff Lewis Live, he didn't hold back. He asked Shannon, how do we tell these women they need to dress more appropriately? He called the Amsterdam outfits unbelievable. Lewis basically said a lot of them dress very inappropriately and maybe should, dress your age and start covering up.
How do we get the message across to your castmates that they need to start dressing more appropriately? The Amsterdam outfits were unbelievable.
Well, they said wear sexy. So I put leather leggings on and knee-high over-the-knee boots thinking that's about as sexy as I'm getting.
I just think a lot of your castmates dress very inappropriately. I feel like your age.
Well,
it's time to start covering up.
But Shannon kind of clarified things. She explained the producers actually asked them to wear sexy. Apparently they were going to see the windows in the red light district, so the idea was to dress for a little show, Shannon mentioned her own outfit, leather leggings, over-the-knee boots, and a black sweater. That was her version of sexy for the occasion. And yeah, some of the other looks definitely stood out. Jennifer Pedrani wore this black two-piece thing with lace all over her arms, legs, and middle. Emily Simpson had on a black dress with a bunch of cutouts. Fans seemed mostly on Jeff's side, calling the looks cringy and saying they felt kind of embarrassed. But hey, some people disagreed, saying if the women look fabulous, age shouldn't matter. So really, Jeff's critique just illuminates this whole debate about what's appropriate for reality TV stars to wear, especially when producers are asking for sexy in a place like the red light district. Okay, then let's move on to next update now.
Okay, next we are going to talk about the intense fan reaction surrounding Real Housewives of New York City alum Jill Zarin. So this whole thing kicked off because of a video the 61-year-old shared recently. And, this was over a year after she'd had a lower facelift and some other minor tweaks. Just for context, Jill was a full-time cast member on the first 4 seasons of RHONY. Anyway, in the video, she was asking folks about their love language, but wow, it immediately split her audience right down the middle. Some fans were super complimentary, saying things like she looked 15 years younger, or even, get this, like you were in your 20s. But on the flip side, the main thing people jumped on was how unrecognizable she looked. Critics were saying stuff like, wow, that does not even look like your face anymore. Whether they thought it looked good or bad, it was just different. This pretty dramatic change got people speculating, right? Like maybe she combined the surgery with something like Ozempic for weight loss, or perhaps she was using some really heavy AI filter on the video. It was just that different. And the comments, they went beyond just, standard critiques. People actually started comparing her to actress Jennifer Grey. Specifically, they brought up Jennifer Grey's famous nose job from the 90s. You know the one? It's kind of seen as this Hollywood cautionary tale that almost derailed her career. One person even called Jill's situation another Jennifer Grey situation on steroids. That really illustrates just how fundamentally different fans felt her look, her whole public identity had become. So this was today's update about the fan reaction to Jill Zarin's facelift. Let's now move on to next update.
Okay, next we're going to talk about Real Housewives of New Jersey's Melissa Gorga and some comments she made, about a couple of big things making headlines. First off, this whole situation with fellow Bravo-celebrity Dr. Wendy Osefo. You might have seen the news. Wendy and her husband, Eddie, were recently accused of maybe staging a home burglary to get insurance money. Pretty wild, right? So Melissa was asked about it, and well, she basically said she saw the news online but doesn't really know enough to jump in with an opinion. She was quick to clarify that even though they were on that wife swap episode together, they're not actually close friends. Like, she doesn't even have Wendy's phone number. But, she did say she always wishes people the best. Then, of course, the conversation shifted to that huge ongoing family feud involving her husband, Joe Gorga, and his sister, Teresa Giudice. It's been a lot. Melissa really emphasized that she's always team family and honestly never wanted this whole thing to happen in the first place. She explained that her main reason for wanting to, move on and try things is really for her kids. She wants to show them that the way things are now, well, it's no way to live, and it just needs to get fixed. For things to actually move forward, she said, everybody needs to be able to speak to one another. And, this is key, she stressed, we all need to take accountability, including myself, kind of acknowledging that everyone said things when they were angry. Finally, she laid out how she thinks any real reconciliation has to happen, privately, totally off camera. She really feels like this is their crucial one chance to make the effort feel authentic and real, not just something put on for the cameras. So this was today's update about Melissa Gorga's recent comments on Wendy Osefo and the potential reconciliation with Teresa Giudice. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we are going to talk about Andy Cohen's recent life updates, including a little look into his new home and a really candid interview about meeting celebs. So, Andy Cohen, the host of Watch What Happens Live, well, he sold his duplex back in May. Yeah, Ryan Serhant helped him out with the sale. And now he's moved into a new apartment right there in the Big Apple with his son Ben and daughter Lucy. He's been busy settling in, and he actually shared a little peek on his Instagram story. It was this really moody kitchen he's working on getting just right. The photo illuminates this cool stainless steel stove, and it's got these dark wood cabinets and floors. But what really catches your eye? These moss green countertops and a matching backsplash. Pretty unique. The island is round too and tiled with that same green material. Kind of sets the scene for their new home life, Okay, so besides setting up the new place, Andy also popped up on SiriusXM's The Highway. And they asked him that question he probably gets a lot: does he ever get starstruck? He admitted, yeah, sometimes he does, though he kind of describes it more as being really excited to chat with someone he truly loves and respects. And he depicted this one experience interviewing Oprah Winfrey on Watch What Happens Live a while back. He explained that getting her on the show, which was like 7 years into its run, was just massive for him. It meant a ton because he just has such profound respect for her and her whole career. So this was today's update about Andy Cohen's new apartment and recent interview. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we're going to talk about Stacey Rusch's recent appearance on Watch What Happens Live. She sat down with Andy Cohen and, well, she addressed quite a bit: relationship rumors, cast feuds, and her business ventures. Let's get into the key takeaways. Okay, so Stacey kicked things off describing her reunion last week with Wendy Osefo as pretty emotional. Wendy was recently arrested on fraud charges, and Stacey confirmed, yeah, they're friends and she's supporting her. She also cleared up those rumors swirling around about her and Monique Samuels' ex-husband, Chris Samuels. Stacey basically said she knows Chris just socially and was completely floored that anyone thought they were dating. She dismissed the whole thing as ridiculous. Then talk turned to her co-stars, specifically Gizelle Bryant. Remember when Gizelle didn't monogram her robe? Stacey called that so petty and pretty much classic Gizelle behavior. And she defended herself against Giselle's claim that she lied about her cannabis line at the season 9 reunion. Stacey explained that, look, when Gizelle asked about it back then, she genuinely didn't have the line finalized, but she does now. She proudly noted she's actually the first Black woman in Virginia to own her own cannabis line, and felt Gizelle kind of tried to steal her thunder by talking about it before it was really a done deal. Oh, and about Gizelle claiming she saw some contract between Stacey and TJ Jones, Stacey questioned the validity of that, pointing out Gizelle herself has admitted she tends to make stuff up. Can't really comment on a contract no one's actually seen, right? Lastly, under personal life, Stacey confirms she and her ex-husband, Themo Rusch, are in fact divorced. TMZ confirmed this too. But she said she didn't really feel vindicated or anything because, as she put it, she's consistently maintained she was telling the truth about her life all along. So this was today's update about Stacey Rusch and her WWHL disclosures. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we are going to talk about Edwin Arroyave stepping out with a new, serious girlfriend amid his divorce from Teddi Mellencamp. So yeah, this kind of eliminates what's happening with their split, especially with Edwin now publicly confirming he's in a pretty serious new relationship. Okay, so Edwin Arroyave, 48, Teddi Mellencamp's estranged husband, right? Looks like he attended a wedding this past weekend. He shared a photo on his Instagram story on October 27th, just captioned "about last night," showing him with a woman named Elsa, who he tagged. This comes after he said on his podcast, The Eds, a couple weeks back that he was dating someone, and it's pretty serious. And get this, Teddi actually follows this Elsa woman on Instagram. Her account shows she loves travel. Plus, Joe Gorga even suggested on the podcast that Edwin bring her to his comedy show at BravoCon next month. Edwin seemed to be thinking more like taking her to Vegas, though. Meanwhile, Teddi, she's 44. She also dated someone briefly, Richie Rea, after their split late last year, but seems to be single again. She clarified a recent lunch with Richie was just platonic. Good news for her, though, this was after she confirmed she had no detectable cancer from a recent scan.
Remember, Edwin and Teddi married in 2011 and share 3 kids: Slate 13, Cruz 11, and Dove 5. So this was today's update about the co-parenting dynamic between Edwin Arroyave and Teddi Mellencamp. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we are going to talk about the latest reaction in the reality television world, focusing on some recent legal trouble. Okay, so this is about the Real Housewives of Potomac, RHOP, right? Gizelle Bryant, she's finally broken her silence, about her co-star Wendy Osefo's arrest. Gizelle actually went public about the situation, which is kind of the first time one of the main cast members has really talked about all the buzz around this reported legal stuff. And when Gizelle talked about it, she really zeroed in on how she felt about the whole thing. She didn't just brush it off as, typical reality TV drama. Nope. She specifically called it a huge disappointment. And wow, that phrase alone, it really illuminates just how serious the fallout is, within the group. It definitely signals things are tense between the cast after the arrest, way beyond the usual squabbles. It kind of demonstrates the pressure this whole situation is putting on everyone involved. So, this was today's update about Gizelle Bryant's reaction to Wendy Osefo's arrest. Let's now move on to next update.
Next, we're going to talk about the finalization of the divorce settlement for Jesse Lally and Michelle Saniei from the Valley. So yeah, their divorce is officially settled. Well, the documents are anyway. And this is all happening just as they're both coming back for season 3 of the show, which, is filming right now. Kind of wild timing, right? Okay, so a quick look back. Jesse and Michelle, they got married back in October 2018. Then their daughter, Isabella, came along in 2020. Their separation date, though, that was listed as October 2023, and then they went public with the divorce news this past March. Jesse actually filed the final docs on October 22nd. These confirm they both signed off on a written agreement, covering all the property stuff and marital rights, including support. Now, about the money. The settlement does include child support for Isabella, but we don't know the exact amount. What's really interesting, though, is that both Jesse and Michelle agreed not to ask for spousal support from each other. They both seem pretty focused on moving forward amicably. Jesse mentioned moving on with mutual respect and just making memories with Isabella. Michelle echoed that same vibe, saying she's grateful they could agree and that co-parenting Isabella is absolutely their #1 priority. Oh, and one last thing on that. The agreement still needs a judge's final signature to be totally official. Quick relationship update too. Jesse's currently dating Lacey Nicole. She's a mental health advocate and philanthropist and sounds like she might even pop up on the Valley this season. Michelle, she was dating Aaron Nosler, a financial advisor, but apparently they split back in July.